Hi, welcome to Garage Geek. So this is going to be a 3-in-1. Part 1, I'm going to have 2 shout-outs. Part 2 is going to be a comic store haul, and part 3 is going to be my DCBS monthly haul. All of this is going to be comic book related. So part 1, I want to shout out 2 amazing comic book community members. So the first is Stevie D. So Stevie D made a drawing of me and he sent it in the mail, but I went on vacation. He was anxious if it arrived. So I want to assure him that it came while I was out of town. It's here, it's safe, and here it is. So this is Stevie D's live drawing of Garage Geek. And I love my sweater. I don't know what I was wearing, but this looks like something out of Space 1999. He also wrote some notes on the side. In the future, Stevie D, I'm big on acronyms. I always make them for my students. So you put LNSCPE, and I think you can come up with an acronym like CLEMPS or something. I'm just kidding. What do you think? Side by side. I think Garage Geek has some very expressive eyes. He's looking a little like Lincoln though. What do you think? Thank you very much, Stevie D. This is awesome. So it's going up in my garage. The second one that I want to shout out is Son of Crom, because during another live stream, Dope Comics was showing off this issue of The Incredible Hulk because it's got some very questionable content. So I'm actually going to go over this because everybody was laughing. It is really funny, but it's actually not as bad as I was led to believe. Now, Son of Crom, I was talking, basically, there is almost a male rape scene which involves the Hulk. Now, he's the victim. Very strange content for, a Hulk magazine. But I'll go into that more. I'm actually going to go over this in another video. Very interested in that. I'm going to break it down for y'all. During the live stream, I was like, oh my gosh, I want that issue. I want to see what's going on. And Son of Crom ordered it for me and had it delivered to my house. That was amazing. Thank you so much. So both of these content creators in the comic community took time and money to send me things. Oh, I forgot. Stevie D also sent me some comic books. So the first one is, I guess, a reprint of the Superman Batman by Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness. But man, I love this stuff and I love the art. And then this one is JLA Black Baptism, and it's got a cool cover. So more on those later. I'm like I said, I'm going to actually do a video of some of the things that I've already read, and I want to break them down. So that's a shout out to those 2 content creators. Thank you so much. So as many of you know, I went out of town. I went to 3 national parks, and on the way home, I had to drop off a friend who was visiting his sister, and his sister lives in the Valley. Now the Valley, the San Fernando Valley, is not that far, but it's kind of far. It's like if you go over there, it's almost like an all-day thing because it takes about 40 minutes to get over there. And of course, whatever you're doing, and then 40 minutes to come back if the traffic's not bad. So whenever I go there, I try to hit up a couple of shops because they have better shops over in the Valley than they actually do in Los Angeles, in my opinion. So I went to this comic book shop for the first time. It was called Spiro's, and Heroes in Comic Books. And I didn't know what to expect. I walked in. It's basically a long rectangular shop, and as soon as you walk in, you're just hit. There are boxes and boxes everywhere. This is not a new comic book shop. It's all comics that you could, go through long boxes and hunt. And that's exactly what I wanted. And as soon as I got in, there were about 4 people working in the shop, and they all greeted me. And one of them, I said, hey, this is my first time. And one of them got up and took me on a tour of the whole place, told me what was where. And that was really, really cool. And so I started going through a box of Dell and Gold Key, and then I started going through the most recent 70s comics that they got in. And then I went in the back room, and the back room was, I have a picture of it. Just the back room alone was overwhelming because there were just stacks of dollar comics. I could not go through all of these comics. Now, while we were there, I guess a local kid and his parent came in. He must come in often. He was looking for very specific stuff, and they were pointing him out. And, but they seemed to have a relationship with the kid. At the very end, when I was checking out, they ask you trivia, and you get to choose from a couple different categories. And I did 3 trivia questions, and I got them all wrong. It was pretty sad, but it was funny. And I said, hey, that's fine. I'm walking out of losing. Like, no, you got some great comics. I'm like, yeah, that's true. But he said, actually, you did get the first one right, because one of the shopkeepers was helping me, and he knew the answer. He got the answer right. It's like, you can pick out 2 free comics from the bins. And I was like, oh, I don't really need to do that. And they're like, no, do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to pick 2. And I'm just going to give it to the kid, because he was still going through. So I'm like, hey, kid, I'm randomly grabbing 2, and you're going to get them. And I pulled them out, and I'm like, hey, these aren't dollar books. So they were the actual, books that I was going through. And he got 2 really good books. He got a Thor and a Spider-Man. And they were priced, I think, $4 and $6 each, and he got them free. I'm glad he did that. But then I was like, one of them I pulled out was a Spectacular Spider-Man, and it was the Sal Buscema. And I was like, oh, now I had to go through it, because I'm trying to fill in my Sal Buscema run. And then next to that, there was this box of magazines. They weren't in bags and boards. So I asked, and he was like, oh, those are just $3 each, grab them. So before I continue, because I'm rambling, I want to go through some of the stuff I got. And all of these were $3 to $4 each. Now, I'm going to tell you that the prices are fair for a comic book shop. Of course, if you buy comics in other places, you can get deals. But if you're in a comic shop, you have to support the shop, and you're going to be paying, a little bit more. And so the first one I found was this Dr. Spectre. And I just think that this is, I love these painted covers. And I think this is number 3 or number 6. And I went ahead and looked it up. So for the Occult Files of Dr. Spectre, there are 25 issues. And I was surprised, because all the ones I have are between numbers 1 and 10. And usually with Gold Key, you get the later issues rather than the earlier ones. And from the first 10, I have about 7 of them. And so I just thought they were within the first 10. That means I've got a bunch more, because once I get all of them, I'll want to read them. Although I don't think you need to read this in order. So I grabbed that Dr. Spectre. I found this $3 for this Tom and Jerry, which is a 15 center. And it does have a little chip in the top, but that doesn't bother me. Another Tom and Jerry for my collection. So this is the only comic that I paid $5 for, and this is this Superboy that I didn't have. And it's just a crazy cover. Just the angle of what Superboy is doing, it's just very strange. This one is number 172, World of the Super Ape. It's not in perfect condition, but I'm certainly glad to have that in my collection. I picked up 4 more issues of Commandy, so that means of the 59 issue run, I only need 12 more. Now, they had more there, but I didn't like the price to condition, how would I say, ratio. Like, they were a little bit more expensive, and then they were a little bit more beat up, or something like that. And so I did get these 4, which I'm going to show. And so here is number 46, number 28, number 44. I do like that cover. I know Sleepy Reader might get mad, because he's the Jack Kirby purist. I don't know, that Ernie Chan art is pretty cool. I think I've only read the first 20 of the run, so I need to read more. This one is also from the later issues, and this is number 42, Coyote Cowboys. The next one, I bought 2 from the Human Fly. Now, the Human Fly, there are 19 issues, and I need 6 more. But of course, it's always the number 1 issue. They actually had a copy of number 1 there, but it was the spine was a little bit too beat up, and I wanted a better copy. But I did get a copy of number 2, which has Ghost Rider on the cover, and number 4. So like I said, of the 19 issues, I only need 6 more to complete this run, and then I'm looking forward to reading this series. And finally, I got another Superman issue. This one was $4. It's a pretty cool cover. It does have a crease in it, and in this one, Superboy, I guess there's some kind of body transformation here, because Billy goes into this kind of cat. After going through a couple of boxes, I by no means went through even a fraction of them. I couldn't. I walked into the dollar bin area and, started looking through. There were so many. I immediately found this copy of Batman and the Outsiders, and I love the cover art on this one. So I grabbed that. And then right next to it, there was, I'm sure I had this as a kid, but I don't remember it. But this one is number 35. It's Adventures of the Outsiders. I guess Batman was already gone. And this one is Sympathy for the Fuhrer. And I was like, first of all, the cover art is so good. And then I was like, I was too curious to not get this. Like, Sympathy for the Fuhrer? What were they thinking? Is it kind of like Sympathy for the Devil, but the Rolling Stones song? And then I found 3 of the 4 Trencher issues. I had this when I was young, and I just thought the art on this was so good. So this is Trencher number 1, Trencher number 2, and number 3. But they didn't have number 4 that I could tell in the area that I was looking. Then I found this Dennis the Menace for $1, and I approached one of the shop people, and I was like, "Are you sure this is supposed to be in the dollar bin?" So I'm like, "Could you check?" And she was like, "Well, yeah, even if you found it in the dollar bin and it's something that's not supposed to be there, you can have it for $1." I was like, "Oh, I would still, feel better if you check." And so she went, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's in the dollar bin because the front and the back cover are detached." So I'm like, you know what? I am fine with paying $1 for having something like that. And then I picked up 2 more recent. They had so many boxes of Image comics. I wish I had more time to go through them. But the first one I found was this Zero, and I've already read this one. And then this One Shot, That's Because You're a Robot. And I bought both, and I already read this one. I'm going to go over them in an upcoming video. Now, the reason I got that is because the really quirky art in both of them. I was really curious. Now, this is part of an ongoing series, but this was a one-shot, so I thought that would be perfect. So then when I came out and I was going to pay, that's when, I did the trivia, and then I gave the 2 comics to the kid, and I was like, oh, they have Spectacular Spider-Man. So I went ahead and I found 3 that I needed. So that was number 164, number 179. I'm trying to get all the Sal Buscema issues. And then this one is 193. Oh wait, they said this one was $5 too. Maybe it was. The best part was they had a bunch of magazines, and I got them all for $3. And I was like really surprised. So here is a Vampirella. I already started reading this one. I'm going to go over this. So this one is number 108. Now the reason this was probably in the $3 bin is because there's a little chip out up here when you open it up. I'm fine with that. All of the art is there. I'm reading it and I'm enjoying it. I'm going to go over that one soon. I started reading this one too, Those Cracked Monsters. And I read the first 2 pages and it's already pretty funny. This is a mad super special about monsters and sci-fi. I'm looking forward to reading that. Then I found this Tomb of Dracula. Now for $3, I asked them, are you sure you're selling these for $3? And they're like, yeah, because I think these magazines usually go for about 10. I did find a Doc Savage's second issue. Now this one has a few spine ticks, but for $3 I wasn't going to leave it behind. I found an Eerie magazine for $3, and this one is 135, so it's a little bit later. And then I thought this was such a steal. Called the Barbarian number 1. Now there's only, I think, 4 of these. I looked them up. But to get a first issue of a magazine for $3 from this era, I thought that was really cool. And finally, I even asked the shop, I'm like, are you sure you want to sell this for $3? And they were like, yeah. So this is Howard the Duck number 7. I have about half of this series now on Howard the Duck, the magazines. Now, as you were leaving, they gave me a stamp card. So every time you spend $25 in the shop, you will get a stamp. And then once you fill it up, they will give you $25 free in the store. I was like, what a great incentive to go back, right? And your initial time, they give you 2. So I can't recommend this store highly enough because the people were so personable. I didn't even expect that they were going to be throwing in the freebies. I heard them doing trivia with other customers. It all seemed like a lot of fun. What were the categories? They had Star Trek, they had Star Wars, they had Marvel. I chose Marvel, and I was feeling really bad that I got them all wrong. What else did they have? I think they had some kind of sports. I don't know, but they had about 6 different categories of trivia, and it was all in fun, and everybody in the shop, they were so nice. I can't wait to go back to this shop and dig more. Now, part 3 of this is going to be my DCBS haul. When I got home, my monthly DCBS box was waiting for me. Now, I don't always show off my haul every month, but since I was already making this video, I decided to go ahead. So I did get 3 magazines. I got the latest Shudder, the latest Vampirus Camilla, and this one looks fantasy oriented, and I got the latest Mad. It's called Mad Steel. The Mad of Steel, or the Mad of Steel. He's stealing Clark's costume. And I did get some single issues of these, so I'm going to go over those real fast. So the first 3 are from the Alex Ross new collection. And then, of course, I buy facsimile issues, so I got a copy of these. I mean, they need to keep these coming. This is amazing. So this is Fantastic Four number 49. I would never own an original of that. Here's a Batman number 9, and this thing is chunky. I can't wait to read this. Here is Fantastic Four number 6. Here's Adventure Comics number 210, introducing Crypto. Now, the funny thing is, this one comes polybagged. I'm hoping there's a trading card in there, but it doesn't feel like it. Like, why is this polybagged? And the only really new comic that I got was Epitaphs from the Abyss number 12 with the Lee Bermejo cover. So the rest are going to be my collected editions. Now, I was expecting a couple of things that aren't from the big companies. Like, I'm waiting for my Vampirella collection to come in. I'm waiting for another Atlas collection to come in. So they weren't in this order. So, which was a shame. So they're mostly Marvel and DC. So I've got 3 kind of sets. So we've got the Marvel Modern Epics, and that is this Annihilation. And this is Volume 1 covering 2005 to 2006. The new X-Men Volume 2, I'm probably going to read this first. I loved the first volume of this. And so this is from Volume 2 from 2002 to 2003. And then this Ultimate Fantastic Four. Now, I've been, all of the Ultimates in this line that I've read so far, I've loved. So I'm hoping that this keeps it going. And this is Ultimate Fantastic Four, Volume 1, numbers 1 through 18. Next, we have the just the regular Epic collections. And the first one is, I'm so happy to have this in my hands. And that's ROM, the original Marvel Years, Volume 1. Now, this came out, this and the Micronauts came out in Omnibuy editions, and I decided not to buy them, and I thought they wouldn't put them in Epics. But man, am I glad that they did. So I'm so happy to have this in a collected edition. I do have many of the single issues. Who cares? I want it in this. Oh, in fact, I have that issue right there. And so this is numbers 1 through 20. Then the next I have Invincible Iron Man, or just Iron Man Volume 7, and this goes from 1976 to 1978. This is Iron Man 92 to 114, Annual 4, and Marvel Premiere 44. And the last 2 that I'm going to show is from the DC Finest, and both of them are pretty cool. The first one is Superman Kryptonite Nevermore. And this has a lot of the Neil Adams work. So this goes from 1970 to 71. And this is Action Comics 393 to 406. And Superman 233 to 238. And 240 to 246. There's an issue missing here, 239. And I'm wondering why. Maybe it's a reprint issue. And that concerns me when DC does that, because I like to have them all in order. I'm just hoping it's just a matter of it being a reprint issue. Okay, and then the next one is DC Finest Metamorpho, the Element Man, and this covers 1964 to 1972. And there's a whole bunch of Brave and the Bold issues, along with Metamorpho number 1 through 17, and a Justice League issue. So there you have my DCBS haul. You have a visit to a kind of local comic book shop, And then a shout out to two very generous members of the VC, and that's going to be Sonakram and Stevie D. Now, if you're a big fan of my channel, I'm probably going to be putting out a lot of videos over the next couple days to kind of make up for some content from when I was away. So hopefully, some people I know that's bothersome. I'll try to stagger them out, I guess. But anyways, I want to thank all of you, as always, for the support.